Don won the international speech competition of our club and will be entering the area contest on April the 9th. We have a cancellation this week because of sickness, so I asked Don to present the speech again so that we can continue to help him to improve it so that he can win the area contest on April 9th. We will probably have a slight round robin at the end of his speech, which is not going to be the same for speaker number 2 or speaker number 3. So be prepared to make specific comments to Don. I will introduce him the way that he will be introduced at the contest and not in the traditional way we do as well. Our next speaker is Don Welton. Can I add something? Before we start, okay.
If you hear something you think just shouldn't be in the speech, you can tell me that. Because I probably need to cover with that. So if there's some part you just, that's not really appropriate, I don't like that, or, so kind of think that way if you want. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Don Welton. Take another step. Take another step, Don Welton.
We are all on a journey. Okay, I may just be wandering around, but even that's a journey. And I guess the question becomes, are you content to just wander around, or are you ready to choose the life that you want? In 1985, I moved from New Jersey to Colorado Springs. I could look out my bedroom window and see that majestic 14,114-foot mountain that we know as Pikes Peak. I got up that morning and on the spur of the moment decided, today I'm going to climb that mountain. I had no idea what I was in for. I also should have stopped and thought about, well, what should I be bringing with me? Hello, things like food and water. I didn't even know how long the hike was until I got to the trail and saw the first sign. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, you're not going to change your life until you change your daily activities. It's our daily activities that form the habits that will ultimately decide if we reach our life goals or not. I was surprised when I got on the Pikes Peak Trail and saw that first sign. 13 long miles is what it said. Actually, it said 13 point something or other miles. 13 long, hard, high miles. Was I going to turn around and go back home? Or keep going? I took another step, and I just kept moving. In hindsight, I think it might have been a little smarter to turn around and go back home. Or at least, went and got a backpack and filled it with food and water. The first few miles went pretty well. I was getting really thirsty, but I started feeling positive about what I could do today. I really thought I could make it to the top of the mountain. I still didn't have a clue how hard this was going to be. A few miles later, I came to a point where I got to my first really good surprise. I'd come across a little cabin with a water pump out front of it. I was thirsty, so this was huge. Now, I didn't have a container to fill with water, well, other than me. So I pumped the handle, I cupped my hands, and I drank, and I drank, and I drank, and I got the boost that I needed. And within a few minutes, I was back on the trail again. It's important when you've got positive momentum to keep it going. It's so easy to lose your momentum. When you lose your momentum, sometimes it's tough to get it going again. Now it's a few hours later. I've come to what they call the tree line. When you get to the tree line, that's where the trees stop. And these are the Rocky Mountains, so it's pretty much at that point just rock, 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 and more rocks. Now I just call you all a bunch of rocks. I'm getting tired now. Real tired. I've gone over 11 miles. I had 2 miles left to go. But I got to the point where I felt like if I keep going, my health and safety is going to be in danger. So do I keep going and try to go 2 more miles and then head back to my car, or do I turn around and go back? I decided this one it's time to turn around. So I started heading back down the mountain. I'd gone about 100 yards, when I came across two real hikers. Hey, we just saw you turn around. Why turn around when you're this close to the top? I'm exhausted. I brought no food or water with me. And I'm afraid if I keep going further, I'm not gonna be able to make it all the way back down to my car. Dude, there'll be cars up there. Someone will give you a ride if you just ask them. There are cars up there? You mean there's a road going up there? I could have drove to the top of the mountain. You're not from around here, are you? I moved here last week from New Jersey. Well, Jersey boy, you got 2 miles to go up. You got 11 miles if you're going to go back down. We got plenty of food and water. Why don't you just come along with us? We'll make sure you're okay. So I turned around, took another step. I began climbing the mountain again. Feeling a little more confident this time. They gave me their trail mix. They gave me a bunch of water. I got a boost. Lasted for about a mile. And about a mile left. I'm literally just exhausted. My head is pounding. And I'm ashamed to admit this, but at this point, I'm wearing both their jackets. I've drank all their water. I've ate all their food. And they told me at this point, they explained to me something called elevation sickness. I'd never even heard of it before. Said, Don, we got to get you to the top. We got to get you to the top so we can get you drugged back down to the bottom. Because until you're at the bottom, you're not going to feel any better again. You know, Dave's going to run on ahead. He's going to get some more water. He'll be back in a little while. In the meantime, I want you to put your arm, just put your arm around my shoulder, and I'm going to help you keep stepping up the mountain. Dear friends, every 15 to 20 steps, I had to stop. I'm just hugging the rocks and just exhausted. Can't hardly breathe. Just can't hardly breathe. About a half mile left to go. Dave came back. He's got more water. Yes, I drank all the water again. They got it for me. And I'm feeling a little bit better from the water, but now the big boost was I got a guy on both sides. They literally walked me up the last half mile of the mountain till we reached the peak. At that point, they made sure I had the ride down. I got down to my car, got home. By the next morning, I'm feeling a lot better. We're on a journey. We all are. We need to decide what you really, really, really want to do with your life. And then, what's it going to take to get from where you're at now to where you want to be? And then each and every single day, take another step. Mr. Johnson.
We are going to deviate from our normal agenda and give him some comments. We will have a formal evaluation. That formal evaluator will have time later to make her comments. But for those of you who are not the formal evaluator, what do you suggest to Don? Tandy.
I have plenty. Don, I'm sorry. I know, in Toastmasters we encourage evaluations to give positive feedback, but you're in contest mode now, so
Yes,
I have to give it to you straight.
Give it to me straight.
Okay, your intro, you were talking a lot faster than you were last week. Please slow it down. Your statement, your opening statement too, you're not going to change your life without changing your daily activity. Hold that statement, please, because that was a very powerful statement, but you moved past it by speaking real fast. Please look at the video from today's speech practice to last week's. There's a big difference. Also, and I noticed this too last week, but I just didn't have a chance to tell you, do not turn your back on the audience. When you're going down the mountain, I'm sorry, Susie.
No, go ahead.
Okay, when you're saying that you're going down the mountain, pay attention to the stage. Maybe do it at an angle that people know that you're going down the mountain. Just don't turn your back on the audience. Because also to your projection of your voice, the audience can't hear it. And finally, the two hikers that came to you, try to change your voice so that way they know that it's a different person talking. I guess my suggestion is Keanu Reeves when it was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Hey dude, you're only 2 miles away. Do something like that. That's it.
Anybody else? Mike.
Yeah, one of the things that, and watching a lot of the different videos of the world champions and the contests, a lot of them will come up, and I agree with everything that Candy said, but they'll come up to the stage and you did good, you planted yourself, and then when you began to speak, when you made your statement, you were you were moving here, and I'm not talking about wandering, that's fine. But when you made your statement, you should have stood there solid and try to avoid, unless you're making a change of points in your speech, to stay solid, because it becomes a little distracting as you keep moving this way. You have a tendency to move right and then left as you speak, and your gestures go with it. Your gestures are great. Your eye contact is great. I agree with Candy that you need to slow it down a little bit in the beginning. As you went on, everything was fine. And that would be the only suggestion that I would make to you, Don, is just to, in the beginning, try to plant yourself, and then when you go wandering, then go ahead and wander.
Okay.
All right?
Good, thank
Doug?
I'd just like to add to that, Don, that backwards step, cross step back, you probably don't even know you do it exactly. It's this. It's this thing, it's this, it's kind of like that, or, and if you're gonna make a movement, make it a deliberate movement, and it doesn't look deliberate. It looks like it distracts. And otherwise, it's a powerful, all the other gestures are very powerful, but this starts to take away when you're just speaking without trying to make a point from your gestures. And I think it would improve it tremendously. So
Thanks.
I just want to reiterate what Mike said. Susan?
You know what, the other comments were exactly what I was gonna say. It was too fast in the beginning.
Yeah.
When you were perfect in timing and pace, I think, is when you hit the 13 long miles. But up until that point, it was do, 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 do. So if you can get the pace at the beginning a little bit slower, give us time to think, don't step on your laughs. I forget which laugh you stepped on, but you moved through it too quickly. So just slow it up a little bit in the beginning, and then move with purpose.
I did make a note too, on that 13 miles, then you backed off for a second and said, and plus a couple others or something. That's not necessary. I do this all the time, and I hate, because we think we're 3 thoughts ahead, and I do it all the time. But do you remember adding, you said it's 13 miles, and then you said, but really a couple more because the sign said something?
Oh, yes, and that's not in the script, yeah.
It's not in the
It's
script,
not in
but
the
you
script.
just,
I got lost. I skipped
He
like
did.
2 pages.
well,
I was afraid I was gonna not even hit the green light at one point, and then you're like verbally spanking
Yeah.
yourself instead of.
well, it felt a little
thinking.
tighter, so maybe some of
Yeah.
that stuff does not.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it was, it'd be so great if this tiny little things.
I just want to say one comment which is completely different. Is your power is in your storytelling and how you emote. This time it was more rote that you were memorizing, and I noticed that when you get nervous and things, you repeat your words quite often, and that's something else. Where you really captured your audience was when you started talking about the guys helping you and the boulders and everything. You suddenly engaged yourself in your story. And so that would be the only suggestion I have, is have some fun with this. Get back to what brought you to this story to begin with, and then do all of the mechanics that you can incorporate and all the group can help you with. So that would be my suggestion.
Jim, thanks.
Okay. You have a tendency to use a filler, you know.
Roxanne?
I want to go back to Susan's. Don, we have told you, I know many people have told you, you're funny, and you need to trust us on that. And the way I know that you don't believe us is because you do step on your lines. And so Susan mentioned a couple of lines you stepped on. Now, you may just be wandering around. If you had paused, we would have laughed, but you didn't give us time. Another one was, I didn't have any container other than my stomach. And we would have laughed if we'd had time, but you didn't give us time. The other major thing that I see is I think you need to bring the audience in a little bit more. You do at the end about you being on a journey, but I think you need one quick statement at the beginning. I'm not sure if you have that, and then somewhere in the middle. But I think you need to bring in that idea, and just like a very short sentence each time, you're on a journey. Have you come to that point where you're laying on the rocks and you don't think you can make it? And then again at the end. And this is just another idea, and since it's a round robin, you can tell me whether this isn't gonna fly or it is. But I think because your title is Take Another Step, you may come up with some special way of walking up there, that you're taking one step at a time. And then when you say, and so I took another step, just take one, not multiple, and you do that a couple of times later.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
I bring up 2 points, and one of them is something that I picked up from an old friend of mine who noticed when I speak, my mouth gets dry. And I would lick my lips, and I would do something funny with my mouth. And I carry with me now, when I know I'm going to speak, or if I don't even know if I'm going to speak, I carry, I think, a chapstick with me. It's a little bit distracting to me. I can tell your mouth gets dry when you get a little bit nervous and when you're speaking fast. So to me, I focus on that a little bit. And your ending, hold it, because your ending is take another step, and then you walk off. I mean, that's the whole point of this. The speech is about, you talk about New Jersey, Colorado Springs, and I checked, Pikes Peak is in Colorado Springs now. So I think last time you said somewhere in California, right?
I hope
Oh,
not.
I thought you said something last time. Maybe I got that wrong. Anyways, when you end it, hold it, because you say. I remember it saying, take another step, but really focus on this all, because that's what the whole thing is about. If you're wondering whether or not you want to do this in life or not, take another step and hold it for applause.
You know, that's a great point, Don. That will add a lot of drama at the end of your speech, and I've done that before too, where I know at the end of my speech, I'm gonna stand in front of the audience and count in my mind 1001, 1002 before I turn, and that will help you with the timing.
Good point.
Don, I think your story is so long, you need something at the beginning to let us know where you're going. Your introduction has to tell us what your theme is. Take another step somehow, some way, so that as we're listening to the story, the impact of the story hits us, and then when you get to the conclusion, then it can be even more powerful.
I skipped that. I mean, on that.
It was in there, I'll verify.
Yeah.
Okay.
I skipped
Can I add
that.
one more
Huge
thing?
section.
One more thing. The speech you gave about the bag, the one that was 3 classes ago, have you considered doing
yes.
that one? I mean, I love the story. It's a great story you tell, and it really hits home with me about taking another step. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know if that was off the cuff, that one you did about the bag.
About half and half. Yeah.
That's it. I just wanted to throw that out
You know,
there. I really
Next
like
year.
that one. Next year, but that, yeah.
Ken makes a great point, because when you progress, and as I see it from my past being in contests and so on, you probably go a lot further. And if you get to the point where, what is it, at the championship, or is it before, where they have to have 2 speeches?
Well, that's the national.
That's
Yeah.
the final thing.
District.
Okay.
Then
Oh, okay.
you still.
That might be something you want to keep in your pocket, if you can take,
You have to win the first 5 before you need another speech.
yeah.
You can't win international without another speech, but you don't have to worry about that.
I don't think we have to worry about
I'll tell you how to win. The speech contests I was in, they always, the person that just survived cancer, or their kid just whatever,
Yeah.
you tug at a heartstring, they win.
Yeah.
So just keep pulling on that, hey, I'm suffering here, and it'll help you.
Yeah.
True.
True.
I'm only half kidding too.
Yeah, but that's true though.
It is, oh man.
Our second speaker today